तीसरे कार्यकाल का ये पहला पूर्ण बजट है। जब आजादी के 100 साल होंगे, विकसित भारत का जो संकल्प देश ने लिया है, ये बजट सत्र, ये बजट एक नया विश्वास पैदा करेगा, नई ऊर्जा देगा, इनोवेशन, इंक्लूजन और इन्वेस्टमेंट, ये लगातार हमारे आर्थिक गतिविधि के रोड मैप का आधार रहा है।
Good morning, viewers. It's budget morning. It's the first budget of the third term of Narendra Modi as Prime Minister. It's the 8th consecutive budget for Nirmala Sitharaman as Finance Minister. And we're here with our entire team to bring to you what are the expectations, what is the charting of the course that will be laid out in this budget. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'm Navika Kumar. With me, Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan. Also joining me tonight, in fact this morning, is Hina Gambhir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to chart the course towards our dream for a Viksit Bharat. That's been outlined by the Prime Minister very clearly on day one of the budget session in Parliament. 1 billion aspirations are riding today on Prime Minister Modi's growth mantra for an ancient civilization which is today the shining star on the global horizon. Yes, it's not going to be easy to ensure growth bhi, stability bhi, to tide over the global economic slowdown, to chart a course through a world economy battered by wars, but Bharat will show the way as Modi Sarkar's first full budget of its third term takes center stage. The efforts in the last decade have put India among the top 5 economies in the world. The aim now will be to become the third largest economy by 2030 with just a bit of slowdown that has been seen in the last quarter. Is that going to be an easy task for Finance Minister, and will Viksit Bharat or a developed nation by 2047 be a distant dream, or will we achieve it? Therefore, today's budget announcements will be crucial to put the Indian economy in top gear to help the country meet its goals. Well, Madhav, what do you think? What's going to happen?
There are certainly challenges, a lot of them, in fact, of foreign origin, and there are green shoots too. These green shoots include, of course, the rising GST revenue, the boom in services sector, and rise in foreign direct investment. But the question tackling all these challenges is the growth momentum as well, which seems to be slowing down. Now, last year, we managed 8.2% growth, and this year it's estimated to be close to 6.4%. And this is largely due to the GDP growth in the second quarter slipping to a 7-quarter low, as you mentioned, of 5.4%. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has called it a temporary blip, but experts, economists have said that FM should go for growth. On the other hand, inflation also remains high, pinching the pockets of the Aam Aadmi. And there was a bit of a breather in December, with inflation cooling down to 5.22%, a 4-month low. But then there are some global factors that can't be ignored. Trump's back in White House, adding to global uncertainties. The dollar's getting stronger, adding to India's woes, and even the markets have been on a free fall mode for quite some time. From a record high level in September last year, as far as both the Sensex and the Nifty are concerned, they've dropped almost 12% in January this year. So what should Nirmala Sitharaman do in her 8th consecutive budget? How can she bring the growth momentum back, and how can she revive the animal spirits in the markets? So let's in fact try and find out. All right, Hina, I think you have those graphics with you in terms of what really can be done ahead. If you can quickly take us through what exactly it is that is proposed.
Well, absolutely. You were talking about the stock markets because markets are going to be watching this budget very, very closely. And let's quickly tell our viewers how markets from their all-time record high on 27th September 2024 have come down. And the reason is foreign outflows. Foreign investors are pulling their money out of Indian stock markets. Corporate earnings in India have been quite weak. There is economic uncertainty. Like you both mentioned, Trump is back. And that is adding a lot of uncertainty factor to our growth prospects going forward.
Well, Hina, that's an important point that you make. And you know, sometimes when it suits us, we say we are keeping ourselves braced and away from the global economies. We've managed it well. And sometimes we say we are a global world. What works for us, what doesn't? Well, let's find out. And joining us this morning is a panel of experts who've been with us almost every budget. Monica Hallan, author, financial educator. You know, everybody wants to know what the taxes are going to be. You know, and you're the personal finance expert.
I will give it my best shot.
We'll come to you on that. R. Jagannathan, well, Jaggi, what's the pill that Nirmala Sitharaman is carrying in her iPad today?
It's the one we have to swallow, not she.
That's true. We've been swallowing a lot of pills. Anand Ranganathan, good morning to you. And are you as bright, chirpy and optimistic this morning? Or do you need a coffee like every Ranganathan this morning?
He's dealing with malaria, he says. Not his own, in the lab.
I'm very disappointed with this budget. It's an anti-poor budget. मैंने कहा भी से बोल दूं जो बोलने वाले हैं राहुल गांधी. You poor thing, poor Nirmala.
No SC/ST have been looked at. So you're giving your reactions even before the budget?
Yes, 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10? All right. So Anand Ranganathan's report card is here. Thank you very much for joining us, Rohit Azad. And what are your expectations from the budget this morning?
I think my expectations would be that there needs to be an increase in revenue expenditure and some respite to the middle classes so that they can spend, because consumption is actually quite down. So that is what. By the way, since when have you become Rahul Gandhi fan?
Well. Well. We remember him all the time. Let's not ever doubt that. But Dr. Mehrotra, what do you think? What can Nirmala Sitharaman do? And what is she going to do? What are your expectations?
My expectation is that I will give her a 11 out of 10.
Oh my God.
I think you need to switch sides. I think Dr. Ranganathan and Mr. Mehrotra need to switch sides.
No, that's pre-budget. He'll give her 11 on 10. Post-budget, he'll change.
We'll see where we fall. So my suspicion is that the middle class is going to get some sops. No question about that. However, that's not going to solve the consumption and the demand problem, because demand and consumption remains low. And that is the short-term, as well as in many ways the medium-term structural problem that the economy faces, which is why private investment is not growing. So I'm hoping that the focus will be less on capex, because the government doesn't really have that kind of fiscal space, and hopefully they will give a little bit more to those who are sort of 50% and below the bottom 50% of the population.
Well, let's hope for that. But Monica, we need a growing economy if we have to get to the number 3 in the world rank. And we've seen GDP growth rates falling in the last 2 quarters. And the projections for this year are way below what they were last year, 8.2 down to 6.4. What do you think Nirmala Sitharaman can do? And just giving some sops to middle classes, is that going to solve the problem of the economy?
You know, when you talk about tax sops, I'll just read out some numbers. The total number of returns filed is 7.54 crore, of which the number of taxpayers are 2.81 crore. What is the size of the country? We know, right?
140 crore people, right. Only 7.5 crore people actually file returns, and only less than 3 crore people, 2.8 crore people pay taxes.
So-
जान ले लो हमारी.
वही बचा है. So yes, I agree. Middle class, I think, will get a relief, but how much of this will translate into a consumption boom, I don't know, because finally that taxpayer base is very small. So I think they will have to think a little bit out of the box to trigger consumption. And I agree that we do need a consumption trigger, because that has been, at least I think urban consumption has been under stress. So it's a tough budget for her to negotiate, because what has happened is that, look, the rich, as defined by price, is 30 lakh and above. So the assumption is they will look after themselves. Those who are poor are getting cash handouts. They're getting a lot of freebies are coming towards them. It is this middle class who's been hurting. So there will be something for the middle class.
So that is the slab of 15 to 30 lakhs per
so
year?
Again, I'm taking the price survey, which is accepted by a lot of economists. It defines a middle class as a household income of between 5 to 30 lakh, a household income, not an individual household. Okay, so that is being defined as the middle class. And within that, there are, of course, it's a whole range of income. So no, my point really is that it's a tightrope walk between.
But that it is every year.
No, so see, the cash transfers also will trigger consumption. But when you do the cash transfer, you are really upsetting this middle class who's saying, "Mujhe kya mila?"
Absolutely, and that's the feeling on the ground. And we have our reporters who are going to follow every move of the finance minister this morning on what she's carrying in that red docket that she carries, the iPad within. Joining me this morning, Priyank Tripathi, also with me, Mohit Bhatt, Sabyasachi also joining us this morning, and Rishabh joining the broadcast. Good morning to you. Mohit, to you first. You're at the finance minister's residence. Can you actually get a sense? हलवा अंदर से कुछ स्मेल आ रही है, लोग बाहर कुछ एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं. What are you getting to hear?
Well, good morning to you too. And you see, the police movement has started over here. They have completely cordoned off this particular area, because what we can expect is that a few officials from Finance Ministry might go inside. And in some time from now, Nirmala Sitharaman will be coming out, and she will be moving to North Block. And post that, there will be a customary photo op. And after that, she'll be going to President's house. And then the budget will be presented in the Parliament around 11. So these are the scenes outside Nirmala Sitharaman's residence. We see that how the senior officials have come over here, because they say that the movement could happen any time from now. Nirmala Sitharaman would be leaving from her residence. Now, this budget is also very, very important, and it comes in the backdrop of the fact that there are huge expectations of people from the middle class, that what exactly they will be given when it comes to the tax rebates. And also, you see, the elections in Delhi are just round the corner. Though the EC has said that we will ensure that there is no specific Delhi-specific announcement, but when it comes to middle class, if there are rebates in the taxes, then it could surely help the prospects of the BJP in elections. But that is all speculation. But yes, I'll show you the scenes around here, that in some time from now, maybe within 15 to 20 minutes, Nirmala Sitharaman would be leaving from her residence, and then directly she will be going to the North Block, where MOS Finance Pankaj Chaudhary will join her, and the team from the Finance Ministry will stand over there for the
Finance,
customary.
Mr. Pankaj Chaudhary, I believe Sabyasachi is at his residence. Sabyasachi, what's the sense that you're getting? What's the movement like there at MOS Pankaj Chaudhary's house, and what are the expectations really from the big day today?
Well, absolutely. See, let me show you the visuals around. You can see movement is taking place at the residence of Pankaj Chaudhary, the MOS Finance. We'll straight away show you the visuals. Now, very soon, the movement will take place. Pankaj Chaudhary will leave from his residence anytime soon, and is expected to speak to the media before leaving from his residence. There has been heavy movement of the media personals here. Time and again, the BJP government have been emphasizing that this year's budget will be for the middle class people. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that may Goddess Lakshmi bless the people of the country. And on your screen, you can see the convoy of Pankaj Chaudhary now leaving from his residence. That is 20 Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla Lane. Will try to get a word from Pankaj Chaudhary before he leaves from his residence.
सारा चीजें आप लोग के सामने आ जाएगी।
सर, बजट को लेकर आप लोगों की काफी लंबी मीटिंग्स वगैरह भी हुई है, बहुत सारी तैयारी है। क्या आम जनता के लिए क्या कुछ नया होने वाला है? क्या
ध्यान रखिए, 12 बजे तक सब खबर आपको मिल जाएगी। मैं बार बार कह रहा हूँ कि थोड़ा धैर्य रखिए, अभी 12 बजे तक सब पता चल जाएगा।
बजट से पहले कुछ नहीं बताएंगे सर?
अभी पता चलेगा सब आपको।
सर, किसानों के लिए क्या कुछ? कल प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ट्वीट किया कि लक्ष्मी माँ का आशीर्वाद होगा।
अभी पता चलेगा सब आपको।
सर, किसानों के लिए क्या कुछ? कल प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ट्वीट किया कि लक्ष्मी माँ का आशीर्वाद होगा, उस पर क्या
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किया तो उसका मतलब आप खुद निकाला।
सर, किसानों के लिए कोई राहत?
चलो सर, टैक्स में कोई छूट देंगे? धन्यवाद भैया, धन्यवाद।
सर, टैक्स में छूट मिडिल क्लास के लिए
अभी थोड़ी देर में सब पता चलेगा।
Finance Pankaj Chaudhary there saying धैर्य रखिए, 12 बजे तक पता चल जाएगा. You will get to know by noon what's really happening on ground. And in fact, Rishabh also with us. Rishabh, very quickly, you're just outside the parliament. Big expectations from the middle class as far as this budget are concerned. What are really the key expectations? Is it tax cuts? Is it other expectations? Quickly take us through what the expectations are surrounding this budget.
Well, Malav, good morning. Yes, we are here in front of the parliament, and I'll ask my camera person to show. It is a bit foggy this morning, and the expectations, if we talk about from the budget, especially for the middle class, whoever we have spoken to, tax cut is something that everyone is looking at. Politically speaking, we have spoken to various parties, and last time around, remember in the budget that came after the third term of Prime Minister Narendra Modi began, states like Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, as per political parties, were given undue preferences. This time around, the opposition believe that if that happens, it will be difficult for them to sit quietly. That is what the political
and Rishabh, really, the reactions are out even before the budget can be announced. The reactions are there from the studio, but from yesterday, tweets have been coming from the Congress party. So let's just go across to our friends from political parties. Joining me this morning, Akshay Marathe, national spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Sujit Kumar, member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha, representing the BJP. Also joining me this morning is Tehseen Poonawala. And good morning to you, gentlemen. First up, Tehseen Poonawala, Chidambaram says, in an article that all that the government needs to do is to get out of the way. Manish Tiwari writes also much of a song and dance being made about the budget. Frankly, it's an accounting exercise. So does Karti Chidambaram. I want to ask you, ये आइडिया पहले क्यों नहीं आया आपको? 55 साल आपने राज किया, तब तो आपने बहुत song and dance किया. Today you are recommending that there should be no song and dance about all of this. Get out of the way. How come all of these are advices only for the Modi Sarkar?
Good morning, Navika ji. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And in the onset, let's actually hope that Mahalakshmi does bless the Indian middle class and the Indian taxpayers. They need it. If that's the best criticism of the Congress party, that they are saying that the budget must move on from being a song and dance show to an accounting statement and future policy, then I think the Congress party and the opposition are doing very well. Just 3 points that I hope as a taxpayer that this budget gives us. We need tax slab reforms desperately. That is the need of the hour. Currently, India is facing massive tax terrorism. And ma'am, just to let you know, India is the biggest exporters of millionaires in dollar terms out of the country. And that HNI is leaving our country in the brain drain is really affecting our economy. Point number 2, we need deduction and a tax slab to increase. We need the tax slabs to come in line. Corporate tax could come down slightly so that the highest
tax slab and a corporate tax are in line, thus enabling people to contribute. And please take out all of these additional taxes, cesses. Once people pay the tax, allow them to spend the money the way they want. But the most important thing, look, less than 3 crore people pay the income tax. It's 7.8 crore odd people who totally file a return, less than 3 crore, 2.81 crore people who pay the income tax. That net needs to go up. Once that net goes up, and the only way that net can go up if tax rates are brought down. Once that net goes up, the government will have money. The biggest challenge for the government is how do you increase capex without causing a fiscal deficit. So I think this is where Ms. Sitharaman will have to balance the budget. But we don't want.
Anand Ranganathan has a preview of the budget. Anand, what do you want to tell Tehseen?
No, I mean, Tehseen, my good friend, you know, this is off the record, on the record. Tehseen is a delight. So off the record, he was saying that I really want the luxury tax to come down because Patek Philippe is now, 2.9 crore. And I can only afford 2.6 crore watches. So, that's a big problem for Tehseen. But can I just come back and say this? See, normally you have this adage that goes, the glass is half full, glass is half empty, glass is brimming. So the government would say the glass is brimming. The opposition would say glass is half empty.
No, full empty.
Actually, a problem kya aa gayi hai ki opposition has discovered this. And I met someone at the airport yesterday. He was a ex-communist, now he is in Congress. He was saying glass hi nahi hai, pani nahi hai. So let us not actually believe any of the information that comes out, statistics and data. I said, look, the job creation has been the highest, 47 million last year. I don't believe in Clem's data. 168 million people have been given a job in last 6 years. I don't believe in this data. Inflation is at 5-year low, 3.5. I don't believe in that data. So they have stopped believing in the data, which they were believing till 2014. So all those agencies that were creating all that data, अब वो कह रहे हैं glass ही नहीं रहा, पानी नहीं रहा, तो आधा full, आधा empty क्या, छोड़ो इसको, सब भाड़ में गया.
Well, Akshay Marathe, what are you looking at? Are we going to be, and good morning to you, Vivek Srivastav, thank you very much for joining us. Akshay Marathe, what are you going to look forward to the budget for? Apart from the cynicism of politics, can we actually have, at any given point in time, some consensus on the direction that this country needs to take in terms of taking its economy to do overall good for the people of India?
Absolutely, Navika ji, I think as a country, we need to come together and remember that the only path towards a developed nation is if we increase our spending on education and healthcare. Remember, the budget is not just about taxation. Taxes will go up, taxes will go down. We need to also look at what is the government spending on. Our spending on education is abysmally low right now. The central government spends only 2% of the entire country's GDP on education. Our people need to have better school education, better higher education. We need to provide more scholarships. We need to give more money to states so that they are able to expand the capacity of our government schools. Because what is hurting people the most right now is the high prices of private education and private healthcare. If an average family wants to send their 2 kids to school today, they have to spend thousands of rupees each month to be able to afford to send their children to a good school. We need to be able to equip our people with these basic services, and that will only happen if the government decides to allocate funding to public education and public health.
Akshay Marathe, but Monica Hallan, do you think this actually works? Because the voting class is the class that will get 2,100 rupees every month or 2,500. Choose the party, they'll give you cash. Who's worried about? Which government is worried about building schools for the middle classes?
So I actually just want to push back. You increase the spending and you will have better education. I will again give you reference data which says that Indian government school teachers earn 5 to 10 times more than their similar private school teachers in India. And the outcomes of that education are very poor. So again, reference data, 25% of the teachers don't show up for work. Of the people who come, 25% are not teaching. So at any given point, 50% is not happening. And you just have to see the surveys on the outcomes to see even this money, and they are extremely highly paid, because of which you have the teacher recruitment scams, where we've seen it in state after state, because the salary levels are so much higher than their private sector counterparts, not the elite school, but similar schools. So there is and who's implementing it? It's the states implementing it. Center is giving money, is allocating money. This is not something the center can sort out. This is purely in the realm of the states.
Akshay Marathe, respond. What are state governments doing?
Quick response. I will say as an Aam Aadmi Party person that we have focused on education, but let's not get into that. You will have your counterpoints to that. I want to just point out that every 1 lakh people who want to get into an IIT today, only one person can get in. That is the ratio of seats we have available in our central public universities for education and medical institutions. You look at China. China is able to provide higher education to everybody that wants it, but India is not able to do it. People in India are banging the doors of our IITs, our IIMs, our AIMS institutions because they don't have space. How is that going to be solved? Because when the government puts more money, the central government has to invest in these.
But Akshay Marathe, there are many more IITs and IIMs today than they were 10 years ago. Now, the problem is the demand is high, but Sujit Kumar, are we going to compare ourselves only to the previous governments, or are we now going to look at a situation where supply and demand begins to meet rather than, just getting into the politics of it?
Navika ji, Goddess Lakshmi will not only bless the middle class but also bless every citizen of this country, but trust me. And I would like to agree with Mr. Punewala when he says that we need to widen the tax net from 2.8 crore to maybe 10 crore, and also with Mr. Aksham when he says that we need to spend more on education. But I think currently the central government and the state government's combined expenditure on education is 4.5, not to what he mentioned, 4.5% of GDP. Yes, we need to increase it to at least 6%, as was recommended by the Kothari Commission. But the opposition is not able to digest the fact that today, even if it's say 6.4 or 6, whatever you may argue on that, but it is double the global average. It is not able to digest the fact that we are galloping towards a $5 trillion economy. It's not able to digest the fact that we are going to a Vikasit Bharat by 2047. It's not able to digest the fact that 25 crore Indian citizens have come out of multidimensional poverty. I can go on and on. 5 crore tribals are getting uplifted through 80,000 crore allocation. 34 lakh crore have gone to Jan Dhan account over the last 10 years. What is the opposition talking about? So, yes, we are certainly focused on stability, on growth, but sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka prayas, that is the mantra. When PM talks about the 4 castes, Garib, Youth, Andata and Nari, yes, he means it. Today 3 crore Lakpati Didis are the vision of the Prime Minister. 1 lakh drone Didis are being trained. So this is the vision of Prime Minister.
Tehseen Poonawalla, what are you cribbing about? There are a lot of achievements, but of course Rome wasn't built in a day. It does take time, especially with kind of challenges that we've seen over the last several years. There was a global pandemic, there has been a war situation across the world, different wars, prices of energy. All of these are factors. Is the opposition being a little unkind?
No, I actually think that under the current government, we've lost a decade. I do believe firmly that this BJP government under Prime Minister Modi is actually left of the center economically, and that was terrible because everyone expected this government to be center right of the center. It's actually been left. Freebies are ruining our economy, and I'm blaming all political parties, but the BJP has taken it to another level. It is ruining our economy. It's led to income inequality. Yes, there is some amount of money in the hand, but data is not clear on how that is leading to consumption. As a result of which, your manufacturing is not even up to pre-COVID levels, and we know that urban consumption spending is actually under stress. Now let's come to the larger issues that I want to make. Your economy and our economy will only leap forward. Of course, our GDP right now is slowing down, but it will only leap forward if we have clear policies with Web 3.0. AI fintech zero policy, blockchain zero policy, as a result of which future industries that can create multiple jobs and catapult our economy immediately and our people out of poverty are not being registered in India. AI fintechs are being registered in Dubai. That is the problem. They don't have any sort of policy with regards to what to create.
You're wanting policy. We have breaking news coming in. Hina Gambhir joins us with the latest breaking news. Hina, you're expecting tax slabs and some reforms in that area?
Well, I'll tell you something. The focus of the government, what we have learned from sources, is that it's going to be to boost consumption. Experts want the government to go for growth, and all this will happen when people will spend money. Right now, people's disposable income has gone down because there aren't, enough savings in their life. So, big scoop that we are getting right now is that currently we have two tax regimes: the old tax regime and the new tax regimes. So in this budget 2025, we have learned from our sources that there is going to be a major tax slab reform, the much awaited. There is a possibility that both these tax regimes, Namika, could actually be merged, and a simpler unified tax regime is something that we could see coming in.
Well, that's big breaking news. If there is a unified tax regime, Monica Hallan, do you think this is going to happen, number one, and will it serve the purpose that it's expected to serve? Confusion will end.
I don't know how merging the two will actually boost consumption, because the old one is getting you deductions when you invest or spend on something, and the new one is giving you slightly lower rates. Collapsing the two will not do it. Changing the slab level substantially, you start paying 30% tax at 15 lakh of income. If that goes to 20 or even 30, that's where you get an aha moment from the middle class. Collapsing it, no big deal.
Well, Jaggi, do you think Prime Minister Modi is a man who looks for an aha moment from the budget?
No.
Certainly but he did say Goddess Lakshmi will smile on the middle class.
For the first time he's saying that. Earlier he used to say Vanchit Pidit Shoshit stuff. So that's not what we want to hear, though that's what the states are doing. So my point is, I think we need a disruptive movement of income taxes. I think, unlike, I don't agree with Monica that we should not merge. I believe that we should reduce all deductions and give a high level of exemption. So you don't need the reductions. I mean, if you have a 10 lakh basic exemption limit, why do you need some 1.5 lakhs here and 1.5 lakhs there and 80 CC and all that stuff? You get everything. So only thing you need to do is make medical insurance and life insurance compulsory. Apart from that, everything else can be. I am not a big believer in high income taxes. We should have a flat tax.
None of us are. None of us are. Let's take a survey here. Are you in favor of high income taxes?
No, absolutely not.
Nobody is.
Yes, because after a point you have people not paying tax because of the Laffer curve.
Except people like us who are salaried.
You pay taxes? Okay, right. No, sorry. No, look, Navika, there are three things. As someone who loves India,
we are the only. I just want to say this. We are the only class who doesn't have a choice in the matter. It is tax deducted at source and then given to us.
Of one of your disclosed incomes, yes. No, about the... Aaj to meri pitai hone wali hai.
Are you confusing me with the Pathik Philip guy there? I certainly don't belong to that category. No. I have only one income, which is my salary.
No, but you have undisclosed people who love you. So, pyar.
Yes, and thankfully there are no taxes on that.
No taxes. Look, there are three things that, for heaven's sake, the time has come for Indians to realize we need to talk about incessantly for the next 5 years. But do we have the guts to? The freebie culture is going haywire. We don't have the guts to correct it. You have the reforms that are almost non-existent. And here the Prime Minister is blessed because the opposition doesn't want the reforms. Talk of farm bills, opposition was against it. Talk of privatization, opposition is against it. Talk of banking. So everything that should be done for the economy, nobody wants it. And finally, please let us remember that the most difficult navigation now for the next 5 years is going to be Trump. He is going America first. And he's already yesterday, he's imposed, I think, 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, 10% on China, blanket. He hasn't touched India yet. But these are the things we need to worry about, and I don't think we have the guts as a ruling dispensation or in the opposition to talk about things that really matter, forget about 2047, Viksit Bharat, 2097 looks, further away.
Important reality check. And Akshay Marathe, I want to ask you, can there be no consensus on this freebie culture that is growing? Look at the growth in subsidies of the Aam Aadmi Party just for the state of Delhi. 600% growth in the subsidy bill. Now, is that something that can be sustained? And I'm not saying yours is the only party doing. It's competitive freebie politics that's going on. is that not going to hurt governance, short term, medium term, and long term?
I think quite to the contrary, Navika, we are going through a very serious economic crisis where people don't have money to spend. Arvind Kejriwal ji, by giving free and high quality education, saves 5,000 rupees per month. By giving mohalla clinics free, by giving free bijli, by giving free pani, he saves another few thousand rupees per month for an average household. When they save that money, they spend it in the same Delhi economy, and Delhi's economy is doing far better than any other state in India. We are growing faster than the national average. Our revenues, tax revenues, have doubled in the last 5 years. We are actually the only state that does not have a deficit in our revenues. We are the only state that has reduced our debt to GDP ratio from over 15% to less than 1.6%.
Why are hands? You're almost giving out the election manifesto, hands going up in the studio, Rohit Azad.
So first and foremost, I would say that this whole thing of only a small section of the population paying taxes is a red herring. A large part of the taxes is paid by everybody, which is indirect taxes. GST. Why would you discount that? So indirect taxes are being paid by poor and rich together. So to say that only a few people pay taxes is first of all wrong. We should accept that. Having said that, yes, that base should increase. There should be more people brought into direct taxes, but it will be wrong to say that only we pay taxes. That's number one. Number two, this whole thing about freebies. We have given freebies to the corporate sector. In 2019, the tax rates, corporate tax rates were brought down from 30% to 22%. What has the corporate sector given? In fact, the last economic survey said that despite the tax cuts, they have not delivered. That's also a freebie, but we never talk about that freebie. Whenever it goes to the poor, it's a freebie. When it goes to the corporate sector, it's good. Let's be fair. It's the people of this country who are going to provide market to you. It's those people who are going to give you growth. So you have to take them into account. It's not a free.
I want to counter that question. What do we do? It's not just tariffs that Trump is talking about. In this whole MAGA scheme of things, he could reduce the corporate taxes there as well.
Let's talk about the taxes.
No, I'm saying corporate taxes could be reduced in US.
Great point. This nation needs to decide what is a freebie and what is welfare.
Correct.
And that line is sometimes very blurred. It's abstract. You have to define it. I have defined it in my own way, and I would like to rebut Chandra in a very, I would say...
Rohit Azad.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
And I'm Santosh, by the way.
I'll mistake.
If you don't...
Be revolutionary. Because he's from JNU as well, Azad.
As are you.
And as I am...
So, you know...
I'm from JNU also, I'm sorry to say.
Oh God, half of JNU is here.
Yeah, actually, yeah, 3/5 is JNU.
4 to 5.
That 3 JNU.
Some are on the other side of the Iron Curtain. But no, look, how do you define what is freebie? He is right. That, you know, when you give tax cuts to people, the middle class wouldn't see that as freebie. But if you were to give 2,100 rupees to an eligible woman, that same middle class would say, "Are ye to freebie de rahe ho aap inko?" So what is freebie, what is not? For me, freebie is something that is to placate a vote bank, that is for appeasement, that is against national interest. For example, MSP is the biggest mother of all freebies. Would Azad say that MSP is wrong?
This is absurd. I mean, this is
the
going
problem.
beyond absurd.
Let me finish. Don't be rattled. You're from JNU. Be friendly. So, what is freebie? Government ad budgets is freebie. Free pilgrimage to senior citizens is freebie. Reverting to OPS, anything that is against national interest to placate a vote bank or to help a political party or a politician instead of the nation, that is freebie. And I would like
Fair
you...
point. Why do you disagree? Why do you disagree, Mr. Mehru?
Well, let me just begin on the MSP, if I might, because there are many things that I would disagree on. Thank you for coming to me after all, finally. Let's just start on the MSP. The bottom line is that the vast majority of the country lives in rural areas, okay? And most of the demand in this country, which we are all very fretful about, oh, demand is not growing, therefore the investment is not growing, comes from the rural areas. And that's where most of the distress is, because 80 million workers have been added to agriculture in the last 4 years, which has reduced consumption and reduced wages. So we have to, if anything, increase MSP for 23 crops, which is what the farmers are asking for. Why do we need to do that? It's not just for the surplus producing farmers. We have to give the MSP in order that they can make their own decision whether they should continue to plant rice in Punjab, which they shouldn't be, and move to other crops, which they could be. They used to produce, oil seeds and dal, and they've stopped doing that. Therefore, we have no choice but to give MSP to all the farmers. That would increase demand, and that would actually set in motion a process of perhaps consumption increasing, which is what was happening between 2004 and 14, which is why poverty fell then, which is why our growth rate was 8% per annum. What has been our growth rate, Navika, in the last 10 years? Unfortunately, only 5.8% per annum, a 2 percentage point decline. Why? We need to get to the bottom line here.
All right. Sujit Kumar, would you want to counter Mr. Mehrotra on that?
On which point, sorry, Navika ji?
Well, he says that between 2004 and 14, growth rates were much higher because the economy was handled better than it has been in the last 10 years.
Far from the truth, far from the truth. If anything, the economy is being handled brilliantly in the last 10 years, and I have given you some of the data points. Today the global growth average is less than 3%, or maybe 3.2. We are talking of 6.4, at least 6 plus. And look at the headwinds that we are facing, whether it's the geopolitical conflicts, or whether it's the Trump uncertainty, whether it's the fall in demand globally.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a minute. Those are visuals of Nirmala Sitharaman, who's just left from her residence. Mohit Bhatt joining us. Mohit, Nirmala Sitharaman leaving for North Block?
Nirmala Sitharaman will be going to President House to get her approval, which is a customary practice before the budget. And after that, at around 11 a.m., the budget will be presented in the Parliament by the Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman.
There she is going to pick up her red Bahi Khata and go away for the courtesy meeting with the President, who is the head of the Consolidated Fund of India. And yes, it's foggy. The headlights of those cars of the Finance Minister on this morning. Well, I hope the day and the budget is brighter than that, Anand Ranganathan. But Anand, coming back to you. There will never be a consensus on what's a freebie, what's welfare. We've seen that. Prime Minister Modi himself said freebie culture is something that should be avoided. But we haven't seen much action. They've had to, under pressure, follow suit of the other political parties. Do you think this is ending anytime soon?
It has to end. Otherwise, Navika, we're looking down an abyss from where India cannot escape. I mean, you have still people who are so well entrenched in the socialist Soviet Union mindset that they want almost 45% of our labor force to be involved in khoding gaddas and, producing stuff that we cannot store. India is producing 320 million tons of food grains. Our storage capacity only 145 million tons. We cannot store half of it. It's lying in the open. The amount of from production to purchase, everything in the agricultural sector is archaic. We need to get people out of it. And here people are saying Sarkari Naukri.
You're absolutely right, Anand Ranganathan. I have a confession to make. When I started my journalism in 1990, I used to cover the food and agriculture beat. And, even in those days, I have done stories of rats eating food grains stored in the open in the Food Corporation of India. Has anything changed in the last 34 years? I really don't know. But when you look at the politics, let's listen into Priyank Thadge and his pearls of wisdom.
I have zero expectations from the budget. Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, even for courtesy, because the people of Karnataka have voted her twice, at least that courtesy also has not been shown towards Karnataka, right? Neither in devolution of taxes, nor in the right share of taxes, and we are suffering because of Modinomics.
Zero expectations, and now every state, if you are a finance minister from Karnataka, please do only for Karnataka. Monica Halan, does this actually work? I mean, are our politicians completely out of sync with reality, or is this predetermined, pre-budget niceties which just come free-flowing.
I just wish that people would think more about Bharat rather than their political stances, because there are things which work for India and there are things which don't work for India. And like Anand said, we really need deep reform in agriculture, and just staying with an old system which has major flaws in it, not allowing farm law bills to pass, that's been a real problem. So I think we need to move from this hard party positions into doing something which is right for the country.
Absolutely. Vivek Srivastav, good morning to you. And I want to ask you, how much do you give Nirmala Sitharaman on a scale of 1 to 10 on the budget 2025?
I hope she follows what the economic survey is talking of. 90% of the workforce is skilled and semi-skilled, and you don't have the proper vocational training. उसके बाद डॉक्टर आनंद रंगनाथन कंप्लेन करते हैं कि लोग फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स और डेटा पे विश्वास क्यों नहीं करते हैं. क्यों विश्वास करेंगे? स्कूल की एजुकेशन महंगी है, आपका हेल्थ केयर महंगा है, नौकरियां है नहीं, और ये मेरी नहीं, इकोनॉमिक सर्वे की भी रिपोर्ट है. ट्रेनिंग वोकेशनल आप दे नहीं पा रहे हैं. Why should I believe your data यार? You have a marriage of 5,500 crores, which is glaring in the media, and poor people are looking at it. It's a cruel discrepancy of this nation. Yes, it should be a socialist country. Please don't tax the extreme poor at all, and tax these rich guys. Increase it back from 22%, not to 30, but to maybe 35%.
Finance Minister, they're reaching the North Block, and nice pictures coming in of Nirmala Sitharaman reaching North Block. In fact, the first of many stops she's going to be making this morning. Priyank is with us from the North Block. Priyank, Finance Minister reaching there. After this, she heads to Rashtrapati Bhavan, then the customary cabinet meeting, and then, of course, presents the budget. A long day ahead. When is she expected to leave from the North Block? Priyank.
Yes, Sati Madhav, she has reached right on time. Exactly, this is what has happened always. 8:45 is the time period when the FM generally reaches the North Block, where she has reached here. We have seen the officials of the Finance Ministry already being there, and it will be just a brief 5 to 6 minute of time period when she'll be there. Then she will come here, right here in front of the media screens, and there will be 1 minute of photo opportunity where she will be holding the Bahi Khata in her hand, and from here, along with the officials and all the advisors, she will be moving towards our right-hand side where the President House is situated. She will be meeting the President, and then the cabinet meeting will happen at the Parliament. So it's going to be very important to be seen that what will be there in the budget, as our guests and everyone has been talking about. But what people have also been talking about, that the review committee report of the Income Tax Act 1961 will be a very important factor which will be added in her budget speech. We know that yesterday, when there was a briefing at by the Finance Ministry, it was specifically stated that the country has moved out from the COVID pandemic effect. So we are all right.
Well, that recovery happened some time ago, but right now we are seeing the blues of a possible slowdown. Is that global impact, or is India going to beat that trend? So just before I come back to you, Tehseen Poonawalla, let me just go quickly across the panel and ask, if we need to get to a Viksit Bharat situation, two things that you would suggest this morning to Nirmala Sitharaman to definitely do in this budget. Monica, I'll start with you.
Something to boost consumption, and very strongly to get the people who are outside of the tax net to please be a part of it. I have a small data point to share. Between people earning more than 5 lakh, upwards of whatever, the tax exempted and avoided is a massive 23 trillion rupees. These are back of the envelope numbers. Exempted, which is like agri income, and avoided, escaped, is 23 trillion.
23 trillion rupees, how many crores is that?
12 zeros.
23 lakh crore is tax avoided by certain classes.
And exempted.
Absolutely exempted. Agriculture income, probably businessmen who have ways of not showing it. Well, please tax them. Don't only tax the middle classes. Let me get you, Mr. Malhotra. What would you suggest the Finance Minister this morning?
Well, two big things that I would hope for is, one, that she will do much more for MSMEs, because they are the ones who generate jobs. And in the non-farm sector, that's where we need the jobs. We know that for the last 8 years since the demonetization happened and the GST happened, they suffered and they are continuing to suffer, particularly since COVID. So we are hoping...
MSME?
1. 2, I'm hoping for some expansion of the tax net, because if we don't get an expansion of the tax net and some hint that we are beginning to think about a wealth tax, because inequality has just gone through the roof. There is no question about it that the top 200 billionaires, and only they need to be there. Please hear me out.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
I know, you're about to.
It's a free country. My expressions can change.
May I finish?
Yes.
So, may I finish on the substantive point that I'm making, which is that only 200 billionaires who have extremely high net worth, we are among the poorest G20 countries, you and I know that. Therefore, it's absolutely critical they begin to share from not high net worth, not ultra high net worth. Only the top 200 billionaires need to be brought in. Plus, I'm hoping that the 2 crore plus incomes will also get an extra surcharge.
Oh my God! You know, wealth tax, extra surcharge for the. What happened to enterprise? What happened to profit? You know, are we going back to a China situation? Well, you know, there is chaos in the studio. I think we're going to come to blows. But for the moment, getting into a short break. When we come back, we'll see if there is some order in the almost violent atmosphere in the studios today. Short break, back soon.